They're off in the Breeders' Cup.
All right, we are 2 weeks out to the 40th Breeders' Cup World Championships. Again, pre-entries will be out next week. Of course, we'll get the entries the following week. So now we're going to take a look at futures odds available here on Bovada. Just go to bovada.lv and you can search this up and find the current prices as we go along. But we have 13 of the 14 races available on here. We're only missing the Filly and Mare Sprint, but we're going to go through here, Halterman, and some of these fields are bigger than others, but we can get an idea not only who's going to, at least who they have available to bet, but what the odds look like for each of these races. And just, more than anything, I think it can give you a little bit of an indication. Obviously, you can bet these much more freely overseas as well, so it kind of gives you an idea maybe how those are being bet. It maybe gives us an idea, an early look of how you might want to bet, or maybe horses that you guys have been itching to bet again. And if you're seeing a horse at, say 1,200 over here plus 1,200, you're like, oh shit, like that's great. Hopefully I get anywhere near that in the Breeders' Cup. So let's take a first look here. We're going to do the juveniles. And the first one here on the screen, Breeders' Cup Juvenile Fillies Turf, and Opera Singer is a big favorite here. We got two big favorites to talk about back-to-back races on here. Opera Singer, Aidan O'Brien horse, plus 175. So heavy favorite.
All right, let's just kick it off, right? Now, all my opinions I'm going to go through, they're very much just straight, like not a ton of in-depth research yet. This is just like surface level stuff. Definitely don't have to research a ton. A ton of these horses. But I'm going to get into it right now. I think my best bet of the day on Friday might end up being Opera Singer. I think this horse is the goods, going to come over for O'Brien. I think if she shows up with a big race, I think she's way better than anything we've got over here in this division. I really like Opera Singer. I'm not going to play many favorites in these 2 days. This is one I'll probably play, though. I think Opera Singer is the one to beat.
Yeah, I didn't know for sure that she would just show up here, but whenever I saw these and kind of thought that's where it's lining up, I feel like this is going to be one of the, well, there's another one here in the next one maybe, but that I feel pretty confident in betting a lower price. And not just that, it's just who, like you see the list there. Carla's Way plus 500, Fallen Angel 5-1. She feels pretty 8-1. I mean, where are you going in that? There's not a lot of ones that you're going to be excited about to bet here.
Yeah. I mean, that's where I'm at. I don't like this division for the Americans. Now, what other Europeans come over and you go, okay, that's interesting. Maybe we'll go there. I remember that happened last year with the male version of this race. Appleby had a horse coming over that I had circled, and then O'Brien brought one. It's like, okay, that makes you pause. Here, it looks like Opera Singer to me is going to be really, really tough. I'm actually really excited to see her. Like I said, I mean, we don't have anything other than just the chances that these horses might come right now. I think if she comes, I think she's going to be awfully tough. I kind of feel like Opera Singer, like I felt like when Modern Games came over as a 2-year-old, kind of just felt like if you come over for this race, you're going to win it.
One horse, Halterman, that is not on here, and I know that doesn't really mean much, was the Chad Brown horse. Hard to Justify. That's a filly. This is a race that Americans have done really well in the Breeders' Cup over the years, and so that was one I was kind of looking at, as far as being that American. And I don't know if that. I thought I assumed she would be in the race. It was she won a win and you're in for it. So I kind of thought, being Chad Brown, especially, we'd see her in here.
She might. I mean, just because they're not in this doesn't mean shit. I mean, this is some guy overseas that probably doesn't know anything. He might be reading off our website and putting these horses on there. Like you don't know where this is coming. This is crazy unofficial, but this is the best thing we've got on it right now. So,
yeah, it's I don't know. Opera Singer to me to me, I look at this and say, well, if you take nothing else from it, say, well, that's the international horse that I need to focus on in this race, and then we'll see who else enters, obviously.
Yep.
But And I think to me, like a lot of times with these offshore type stuff in the overseas markets, it gives you a good indication, right, of those international horses. So like we know that they are really betting Oppersinger, plus 175. That's a solid number. And so to me, that gives you a good indication of kind of the group of horses, which one you want to look at. All right, let's go to the Juvenile Fillies. Tamara is a plus 135, heavy favorite once again. Candy 500 or 5-1. BV's Dream 7-1. Just FYI 8-1. Really the list goes on, but is this going to be another one of those favorites? Obviously being out west helps as well. She looks so good, and she might be elite. But I just think it's another one of those divisions that I do think we have some good horses in there, but I just think she might be better than the rest of them.
Yeah, I haven't decided what to do with this one. I really like just FYI a little bit. I really like Candied a little bit as well. So there's a couple of horses I like that I think can beat her. We haven't seen her since Del Mar. I don't know if that's good or bad either. So to be honest, this is one I haven't decided whether I'm going to take the favorite or not. I may try to take a little just FYI. I think that horse is interesting at a price. I think she'll run pretty darn well.
The thing is, like on debut, she wasn't awesome, right? And then the next race, she was freaking spectacular. And so you just kind of wonder. But Mandela, man, when he gets them right, they're tough to beat.
I didn't like skipping the prep. I thought that was odd.
Yep.
So that has me a little bit concerned. I don't know. I don't know. I wouldn't be surprised if the horse wins, but and I may end up picking her when all is said and done. But as of right now, I'm kind of all over the place with this one. And I think 8-1, if you get plus 800, if you're going to bet it right now, or you get 8-1 on the day of, I don't know. I think just FYI might be interesting here.
And I will say this: if you're not super convinced, or of Tamara, and you're like not completely sold, or definitely, this is the kind of race. This is the race over the years that it's very much okay to bet against the favorite. You have seen some good ones win it. No doubt. And if you think she is that kind of caliber, then there's no reason to think she won't win it. But when you're looking at, 8-1, just FYI, and there's a ton of other options in this race that I think that you could, talk me into. VV's Dream is not one of them, by the way. I think I was on, I was on her until she bucked me off, and she bucked me off last time. I just didn't love the way I didn't think she ran terrible. I just didn't see enough from her to be convinced that she can turn that back around, go out west, win the Breeders' Cup.
Yeah, I agree. I thought it was pretty much like she's not bad, but I don't think she's gonna win the Breeders' Cup type effort. I agree, and really wasn't all that competitive with Candied, so hard to bet her. And I don't know. I just worry. The source of Mandela has never been around 2 turns. I think that is a little bit iffy as well. So I don't know. If you want to take her at a very short price, I think you got to think, because she's going to be like 8-5, 7-5 probably. If you're going to take her, you better think that she's like the next star, right? Because to take that kind of price in a juvenile horse here at the Breeders' Cup, you better think she's a star. She looked like one. Like, her last race was spectacular. I don't know how good that field was, and it was at 1 turn. So I think there's question marks.
I mean, I don't know. I haven't made my mind up on that one either. That one feels like, I don't know. I mean, yeah, she could win for sure, and she probably should win. But I also could see myself being like, "You idiot! Why did you single everything around her?" So we'll see. I tend to not bet as heavy as I do on Saturday that I do on Friday, just because of their juveniles, right? And they're a little bit more unpredictable. The Juvenile Turf Sprint, Big Evs at plus 500, 5-1, 5-1 on Crimson Advocate, 550 on Bucano Forte, None Mets, anyone else. Okay, Crimson Advocate for me is one that I've been very much looking at. as I've been kind of getting closer and closer to honing in on these races. I mean, I'm not surprised on the prize. I think it's another one of those years that we've seen these turf sprints be dominated by Americans. And so I tend to still lean that way. It is a fairly new race in the Breeders' Cup, so it's still kind of up for grabs, I would say, too.
I really have no idea. Here's the deal. Like, they've got a few listed here. It looks like 8 horses listed. Usually there's like 14, I mean, this is usually a mess. And it's either, most years it's okay, I'm just going to go with the Leslie Ward horse, or I'm just going to go a big price, one or the other. I mean, I don't know. I did pretty well at this race the first 3 years, and then it's been pretty tough. So I can't really give you a gauge. I don't, and this is a race where a lot of horses don't really point for it. They just kind of fall into this spot. We probably aren't going to know until the next show about who's actually going to be here. So it's hard for me to kind of get a gauge on this one yet.
I think Crimson Advocate is interesting just from a standpoint of she is an American horse, but she did go over to win at Royal Ascot. I think that's super interesting as well. So you kind of have a little bit of both, but I feel like what was that Pletcher horse that you hit this 1 year, like 5-1? Was it the first year they ran it?
Yep, it was. No, maybe it's the second. No, I think it was the first, and I cannot remember that horse's name for the life of me.
No, I can't either. But I just remember you did like that horse quite a bit and bet it. But now it's like I don't feel the same way this year.
I loved Golden Pal. I loved the horse the year before by American Pharaoh that won it. Can't think of that horse's name either. And yeah, then the Pletcher horse was pretty good too. But I loved those two, the Pharaoh horse and then obviously Golden Pal. We love those. But
Bulletin was that was the first year. 4-Wheel Drive was the next year. I think we both really liked that one. Golden Pal, Twilight Gleaming, and Mischief Magic. Mischief Magic bucked the trend last year was in terms of what we had seen in this race is speed, gate to wire, just speed, gate to wire, speed, gate to wire, American speed, gate to wire, I should say. Yeah. And last year it just fell apart completely. And we saw an international horse, basically come from last to win it. So
last year there were a lot of horses in that race that shouldn't have been in that race, and they all had speed.
Yeah. And so it created this epic. And then you had, it was just a disaster. You had just a bunch of shit in there. Yeah. But yeah, no. And Wesley Ward, by the way, won that race 3 years in a row with 4-Wheel Drive. That was the American Pharaoh horse as well that you were talking about.
Yep.
4-Wheel Drive was Wesley Ward, Golden Pal, and then Twilight Gleaming. So he won it 3 years in a row. And then Pletcher won that year with Bulletin.
I would venture to say this year, this may be a skip for me. This may be a $5 wager, something like that. Some years, like you see that 4-Wheel Drive horse show up in your past performance, you go, oh yeah, I kind of like this horse, and you get excited, Golden Pal. But like this year, it's like I've watched all these races and I don't see anybody.
Yeah, I'm worried that 5-1 is not going to last on Crimson Advocate. If I can get anywhere near that, I'll probably bet that one as of now. But I'm not gonna, especially I'm not gonna waste. I think it's the first race of the Breeders' Cup on Friday, so I'm not gonna go too heavy on it. All right, let's go to the main event of that day, and that is the Juvenile. Prince of Monaco at 4-1, 5-1 on Lock. Timberlake at 5.5 to 1. Muth at 7-1. Heartlands 10-1. I mean, Fierceness. I mean, the Telefella is not going to run in. I learned that from the comments of my video I did on YouTube. Everyone told me he's not going to run for the rest of the year. But really, it comes down to the top. I'm surprised to see Muth at 7-1 off of that effort in the American Pharaoh. Not really surprised on the rest of them. I thought Muth would be a little bit lower. I honestly wasn't for sure if Muth or Prince of Monaco would go off as a favorite.
I don't really know what's going to happen in this one. This is an awfully interesting situation. I don't think there's a lot of horses that are really standouts here. I kind of like Muth a little bit over Prince of Monaco, even though, he killed him the one time they ran. I kind of like Muth. Can I tell you something crazy?
I love it.
I kind of like Miramati.
You hinted at that a little bit after that race.
I kind of think when they stretch him out to 2 turns, he's going to be decent. Now, this probably isn't the spot. Maybe he doesn't even run here. I kind of like him a little bit. I will probably not play the favorite. I probably just won't. I liked Timberlake's race last time out. Like I said, I like Muth a lot as well. So I don't know. This is another one. I'm not really locked in on anybody here.
Yeah, it makes you wonder if how good are these? The thing with Muth, he did I know we've talked a little bit about this, but he did everything he was supposed to be doing, and he kind of put it all together in that last race. I felt like, Muth was supposed to be, he's obviously huge purchase price, and they had, you buy a horse like that to win this race and to win the Kentucky Derby and all the races, right? And so the issue was very clearly stated, he too keen, goes too fast, fades, and we saw that when he got beat by Prince of Monaco that day. Last time out, the American Pharoah not only did he stretch out, but he set off the pace. I get maybe that's not the caliber of field, right? But just the fact that he had that ability to do so, it gives me a lot of confidence in what he might be able to do in this race. Maybe he's starting to figure it out, but I would rather play him over Locked and Timberlake, and that's not really saying that I don't like either one of those, but I just think the value at 7-1 is there.
I think this is kind of a squirrely race. I really think every horse that you're going to talk about kind of has their, not really issues, but just kind of has their hangups a little bit. We haven't seen a ton of consistency except for Prince of Monaco. But again, he skips the big one, or the big prep year, or the big prep round of preps, the last one. He's never been 2 turns. I didn't love his 1-turn race, or his last 1-turn race in the Futurity. I don't know. I just don't think he is. I think he's a favorite that's beatable, I guess is what I should say. I'm with you. I really liked how Muth calmed down. And I think maybe that stretch out was the thing that did it. A lot of times those 6 and 7 furlong races, when you're 2 years old, everybody's just flying to the front as fast as they can and trying to hold on. And some of these horses, that's not really what they want to do. And he may have been one of them,
Yeah. By the way, Christopher, I guarantee you we will talk Husker Butch, but it will be later in the show. So just make sure, go take the kids to dinner, come back, listen to the pod version, or listen to go back and watch us on the YouTube channel, and we will talk about Husker Butch. I guarantee it. Yep. So I know you'll get your fix. Just you have to wait. Got to do dad stuff. I get it. I don't know, Michael. I don't know that. I don't see why they're not going to revert him back to speed just because there's other horses in the race that of the stable. If he's got the talent, they're going to. I would assume going to want him to run what makes him the most suitable to win the race. If Miramati were to enter, Halterman, you're suggesting, maybe he's the speed, right? I don't know.
I think Muth reverting back to speed or whatever. I think it's all just going to depend on who's there, right? And if he can fall out on the lead by himself, of course you're going to use it. But I don't think you're going to. I guess the point I'm trying to make is we saw he doesn't have to have the lead to run well, so they won't press the lead and go balls to the wall unless they can just go out there and get an easy one. Yeah.
I just thought he looked like a different horse that day, and so that gives me hope going into this. By the way, Shoddy, there's a really cool trend that you'll want to check out in the 14 trends about kind of what you kind of refer to with the Triple Crown and what it means moving forward. This is a race that's pretty productive, but maybe in a different way. So make sure you check out the trends when that comes available. All right, let's go to the last one on Friday, the Juvenile Turf. This is. Yeah, you've done well in this race in the past. I don't know where you're going with this one. This is a wide open affair.
I feel like I'm going to end up going with a European horse here. I don't know which one yet. There's not really
a good angle to go to, by the way.
Yeah, and there's not really anything that jumps off the page. Opera Singer and if she comes to the Philly version of this race, I think she's tough. But here I don't see a lot that just totally jumps off the page. So just kind of a wait and see approach to this one as well. I don't really believe in our turf horses too much in this spot. So it's just kind of it's going to be touch and go until we know who's going to run.
Yeah, I feel like I don't know. This is one of those races that we'll talk about. The ones on Saturday are going to be a lot more clear. This is one of those that you just, how can I even have any commentary about this? Because I don't know, who's going to be here out of those. There's a bunch listed, obviously for good reason. My thought is I'm going to probably lean towards which is not going on a limb, but Aiden and Appleby and whoever has maybe one of the ones that look the most visually and most impressive. That's probably where I'll lean towards. So, yeah. But to have any kind of real, I will say that Agate Road, that's one that I'm okay with playing against here, especially. I mean, I guess 12-1 is probably more than fair if that's what you're going to get, but I'm not super interested in that. So
yeah, so sometimes our juvenile turf horses will really impress me, and I'll go with one or the other, in one of the races or both. I just haven't been impressed with either division this year, and that just makes me lean towards the European horses until, like I said, we kind of find out who's actually going where.
RacingDudes.com is your home for the best free picks for every race, every track. It's Breeders Cup season, and we've got wall-to-wall coverage of the World Championships. Subscribe to YouTube.com/RacingDudes right now. Click the notification bell. You never want to miss a single video. Want to make money betting horses? Bet with the Racing Dudes.